Tim Visser has finally docked after 6 years sailing the seven seas for Scotland. The 30-year-old wing, who scored 14 tries in 33 caps for his adopted country, announced his international retirement on Thursday after growing tired of the exile life. Since moving to London to join Harlequins after the 2015 World Cup, trekking up and back to Scotland has become more of a grueling hike for Visser, especially since dropping down the pecking order with the national team. The sight of the hulking 6 feet 4 inches, 17 st finisher rampaging down the wing will be missed at Murrayfield, not least by Gregor Townsend, who tried to persuade Visser to stay with Scotland. But for the man himself, time to reflect on a long drive back from his native Netherlands during the Six Nations Championship made up his mind. I remember I had a week off here at Quins, but I wasn't sure if I was needed to train with Scotland. Then at the last minute I didn't, he exclusively told Sportsmail. I ended up driving to Holland and saw my family. We drove back to London and I wasn't sure if I needed to go back up to Scotland or not. I had a long conversation with my wife over the 5-hour drive and I decided I had had enough of it and wanted to take some control back. Going up to Scotland on a Sunday night, training Monday, Tuesday and coming back on Tuesday when you haven't made the squad and playing with Quins on the weekend, then flying straight back up. It isn't hard if you live in Edinburgh. But being down in London, and I am sure it is the same with boys in France, it is a pretty tough life. I have 2 little boys now that I didn't get to see a whole lot during some of those international periods. I had a good chat with Gregor. I called him that Sunday and said, before you get into your last game week of the Six Nations, I just want to get this out the way. I have made the decision to call time on my career. It is not a reflection on not being selected or anything like that. I have played a World Cup and Six Nations, autumn internationals, some fantastic games, but in the last 6 months I have decided it is time for me to move on. Gregor was disappointed. He tried to talk me out of it a little bit but said that I sounded convinced and I had obviously thought about it quite well, and thanked me for services. A mainstay of the Scotland side between his debut in 2012 and 2016, Visser has fallen out of favour in recent months. Born in Zeewolde, he was spotted playing sevens in Amsterdam and came to the UK as a teenager. After representing England schools U18s when a pupil at the famous rugby school Barnard Castle, in England's northeast, he spent 3 years at Newcastle Falcons with loan spells at Darlington and Northampton, when they were in the Championship. Then to Edinburgh in 2009, soon Visser was a scoring sensation in Scotland. In 2012 he helped lead the Capital Club to the Heineken Cup semi-final, scoring a record 17 tries in all competitions that year. Once qualified for Scotland, the national team snapped him up fast. In June that year he made his debut in Laodicea, Fiji. It was incredibly hot and challenging. Visser recalls, to come away with 2 tries on debut was a dream start. Scoring became a happy habit, his most notable a double on home debut against the All Blacks. I was incredibly nervous for it. Driving into Murrayfield with all the bagpipes going and all the Scottish support was amazing, he added. I saw a load of Dutch people there as well, 50 of them waving Dutch flags. It was emotionally really weird because it felt like I was saying goodbye to my home country and was making that move. I got 2 tries, which was lovely. For his Test career to end where it started, in the tropical climes of Fiji, is something of a shame, bowing out with little fanfare. But Visser, who is signed up for 2 more years at Quins, is content with his lot, not keen to cling on for a year to the World Cup in Japan. He is happy to say sayonara now. I knew after that World Cup I didn't want to go on to the next one, not only age but the way I felt out on the pitch, he said. International rugby is incredibly hard, and trying to combine that with being in exile, playing for a foreign club, was hard on my body. I knew I probably was not going to make it anyway. There would not have been any point in staying on. To hang around and maybe getting a spot on the summer tour, and stopping a young player going, there would not have been any point as the next Six Nations is the last stop before the World Cup. And he thinks Townsend's boys can make the semi-finals. They are genuinely in a better spot now than I when joined in 2012, he said. They are constantly getting better and they certainly need to be angling towards getting past one of those quarterfinals, I think. But for Visser, that ship has sailed.